Are you guys ready for the biggest challenge?
Yeah, today is gonna be a really tricky day. So I don't know if you've been following, but for the past 2 weeks we've been building a workshop, a winter heated insulated workshop that for now is a bunch of pieces of plywood, like modules I call. So I've been building these modules, and today is the day that we need to try to put these modules together in a way that is square and in a way that, you know, the code doesn't go inside and we can heat inside. It's going to be really tricky because this is, it's not like the measurements are not 100% right because the wood, I said that before, we bought the cheapest wood we had, the cheapest plywood we had, and that's what you get. But somehow we're going to make it.
And I hope at the end of the week we have a workshop ready.
Let's hope so.
Well, if you are new to our channel, you might not know that while Metal Boat DR builds the hull of our new boat, we will be converting a cargo van into our home on wheels to live on it while we finish the building of our boat ourselves.
But first, we're gonna build our tiny insulated / heated winter workshop.
And the goal for this week is to finish the walls of the workshop. These walls are gonna be built to similar modules that the ones that we built the floors last week. The only difference is that instead of a full-length plywood, the wall is gonna be only 2 meters high.
One more wall. I'm tired. Yeah, today's the coldest day so far. I think it's like -4 degrees Celsius right now. But at least I got 2 walls ready. They square on these things. They're not perfect at all. I hope we can put this together after the walls are done. It's a lot more work than I thought, to be honest. This is a lot heavier than I thought. I hope it works, and I hope it lasts for a little while. And after winter, I hope we can take this apart and install on the boatyard. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Because this is not perfect, but the van needs to be perfect. And in these conditions that I'm working right now, I cannot even begin to build a beautiful van inside. But I'm happy, making progress. Meanwhile, Roberta is cooking lunch and also editing videos. You. I think it's cold. That's the bucket that I'm cleaning the brush and the roller. Totally frozen. So that means no painting today. Impossible. One more, done. So as of today, we have floor in place, bottom painted, 3 side walls. That means all those walls are ready. I'm not going to install in place yet because we need to flip them and paint the back side. And today is already too late. It's getting dark really soon. I mean, today I'm getting faster. It's not night yet. That's pretty good. That means tomorrow I hope to do 2 walls because the day after tomorrow and the day after we have really good weather for painting. That means if I do another 2 walls, we can flip them around, all around this area because it's Monday and no one's gonna use the basket court. And I can paint the back of those 5 walls, and that means the day after, I can already put them in place. That would be just so awesome. I wanted to build this workshop in 4 or 5 days and doing 1 week episode, but I don't think it's possible. See you guys tomorrow. Good morning, by the way. The 2 walls I'm going to build today are important because they're the first ones on a different direction. So it's going to be these walls that will connect to that wall that I built already. It's right here. And in order to connect them well and not have a gap, I need to have square. And it's really tricky to have anything square when nothing is square here. This timber is all bent. That's the cheapest timber I could buy. It is what it is. So I want this face to be square. And if this face is square, that means the connection between both walls is gonna be better, I hope. So now that this is already temporarily fitted to the plywood that's square, I hope this is square, and then I'm gonna do the inside, you know, the same as always. So, and also the other different thing on the second wall is that until now, all the walls are 1 plywood thick. I mean, 1 plywood wide. The last wall of this side is not 1 plywood wide because the length of the wall doesn't match the size of the plywood. So that one is 1 plywood wide. And I'm gonna build that one and then do the measurements, and then I do custom to size the last one. It's like ant job. It's a really little work that you do every day a little bit, and eventually you're gonna have a beautiful workshop with heating system because, as you can tell, it's cold. Let's get working. But before that, let me tell you about the sponsor for today's video, Blinkist. Blinkist is an app that allows you to understand the most important things on over 6,600 different books and podcasts in just around 15 minutes. And that's so cool because I can learn new things while I'm working. For me personally, I prefer to listen on the phone, but you can read on the phone, you can listen on the computer, you can read on the computer, it's up to you. This week I had a really good surprise while scrolling all the titles on the Blinkist library. I found out that they actually have the link for the book The Beatles Anthology. That's so cool. Yeah, it was an amazing experience to listen to this audiobook while working on our new workshop. I mean, Beatles is a huge part of my childhood, so it's really cool because this book, it tells you the story chronologically year by year, and also use a lot of titles of songs in the middle of the story, so you're always like trying to pay attention and to remember about this song, that song. And the crazy thing that I never realized is that Beatles has such a short story. They went what we would call today viral so quick that seems like they played for years and years and years, but in reality they only had the band for 10 years. Just to put in perspective, our YouTube channel right now is 7 years old. That means in 3 years you're gonna be as old as the Beatles. That's just mind-blowing. If you were a fan of Beatles also like me, I really encourage you to listen to this story because it's really cool. And if you do, don't forget, write a comment and tell me what you think. And talking about sharing books, Blinkist now has a new feature called Blinkist Spaces. You can create your own space with your friends, with your family, and you can share books in between the members of the space, and anyone can have access to the books shared on this space, even if you don't have the premium subscription. I think that's a really easy and cool way to share the books you love with the people you love. And last but not least, Blinkist is giving a 7 days free trial and 25% off the annual premium subscription by using the link on the description below. But now, let's go back to work. I'm not sure if I showed you yet. That's how a panel, a module, looks like without the plywood in place, but with the insulation. The reason why I chose this kind of insulation, first of all, oh, by the way, this is, if I didn't say yet, this is wood fiber, natural wood fiber. So this is really cheap. I mean, nothing's cheap, but it's cheaper than other options. This is natural. This is really thick, so it's 10 centimeters thick. That means, I think, 4 inches thick. It isolates really well. The only thing that I'm worried about is the durability. I'm not sure if this will last for that long. If somehow it gets wet, it's just done. I don't think it works anymore. But for a temporary solution, I think that it is what it is. Of course, if you use spray foam, would be much better, but then it's really expensive. I would not make in time, and then the workshop would be useless because the winter would be gone. So it is what it is. I think it's going really well. It's a little bit tricky to cut. It's trickier than I thought. If I had a bigger knife, it would be much easier, but that's all I have for now. You know, working with what I have. Now I'm gonna close this one because it's already, you cannot tell by in the camera, but it's already raining a little bit. And when it rains, even if it's a little bit, gets humid these areas. For now, I'm just gonna close, cover with plastic, and then either today or tomorrow I'll be the next one, and then I can paint. Getting there. Check out our friends eating the leftover wood. It's funny that they follow me all day long, try to get the rest of the wood. Even more when it is snowing because there's no grass for them to, you know, eat from the grass. Even though we give food to them all the time, but they love to just, I don't know, see people, they come around and tick, tick, tick. This one don't like me too much. That's the cock. He's like, I'm the man here. That's why you should not work when you're too tired. This is a big mistake. That there is a solution at least, but there is a big mistake. Big actually. I calculate wrong the length of the wall. That's not good. Check this out. These two walls are in position to just be lifted this way on the back. And supposedly the plywood is 2.5 meters minus two walls, that's 23 centimeters total. So we end up with 2.27 meters that we need. And somehow I calculate exactly, not exactly, but almost exactly the thickness of one wood minus. I have 222. I need another 5 centimeters. This is 4.5. That's a big mistake. That's gonna cost not much. That's luckily I didn't cut the excess plywood, because now the next step is to get the track saw and cut this excess. So now what I'm gonna do probably is to just put a double piece of wood here, and then we cut. So that means I don't need insulation, it's just gonna be wood. But that means we're gonna lose one long wood that we had spare. We don't have many spares, we cannot make that mistake many times. But that's the only wall that I need to cut to length, other than the doors. So on the doors I need to make sure I pay attention more. One thing that you guys never see in the last days is that I need to organize this mess. See, every time I start working, this becomes a mess. And as you know, we are counting with the kindness of the owners of the house, so we don't want to leave a mess anytime, because their kid always plays basketball, so I want to keep this clean and organized. That's fair, because they are so nice letting us use this space that I hope we are not on their way. Moving along, it's getting there eventually. Whew.
Bonjour. It's not that cold today.
Pretty cold. No,
Better than
it's
the other
getting
days.
warmer. This week's gonna be a good painting week, so now I need to finish this, because yesterday I got almost to the end when I found out the mistake. So I need Roberto to hold one piece of wood for me, and I can fix this mistake, and then we can trim, and then I can spread these 5 modules around here and we paint, because it's gonna dry well today, I guess. And tomorrow we keep going. I think it's gonna be a good week.
Yay! Let's see. The sheep and the goat are here. Have some food. Hey, Jackie!
So the idea now is to try to fix this problem, this little problem that I created here, because of course I did the wrong math. So I'm gonna cut to length one more of those woods, and it's gonna be inside. So in 227. Yeah, we have like, I would say 4 or 5 millimeters extra. That's fine. So I'm gonna put this wood at 5 millimeters and leave a little gap, and then I put Sikaflex here just to close the gap, and we're gonna be good. And now if my math is correct and I measure right, one of the spots I don't need to cut is just straight, just put in straight like this. That's what I call time saving. One less problem. And now it's time for the Tetris to begin. So today I want to paint these 5 panels. That means 1, 2, 3, 4 in the back. 1, 5. Let's go. that's it for today. I'm really happy. See you guys more. Maybe I can build more walls and then we just do like 2 days of assembly, like 1 full day of assembly. I think I'm gonna build walls. By the way, you must be bored with these episodes because the one in Malaga with friends was so exciting and now it's just me working by myself, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Remember that I'm alone, I need to do it. Let's do it. Done for the day. I managed to do 2 walls. Those 2 walls right, I don't know if you can see, right there. And now all I need to do is to build 1 more wall, 2 doors, and the ceiling. We're almost there. It's time to have lunch. It's 3:30 p.m. I didn't even have lunch yet. And I need to do some email work and some editing, so I call up the day. Yoo! We got a problem, Batman. I just realized we did a big mistake that I think there is a solution. That's the mistake. I forgot something really important on this last panel. In order to paint something inside the workshop, we need some way of taking the air out because of the VOCs of the paint and the varnishing and the epoxy resin. We need some way of replacing the air inside of the workshop, and that's what this is all about. This is exhausting system. Yeah, actually we have 2 of those. The last one is gonna be installed on the wall that I didn't build yet, but in order to install that there, I need to have a hole on the wall and I need to frame the hole, and that's gonna be a lot harder to do now that the wall is finished. The idea now is to mark the cut. That's gonna be probably, if I do around here, that means I'm gonna use the stud inside as one of the studs. So then I just need to frame 2 sides. This one also has a stud right here. That sounds good to me.
Actually, the place was wrong. I'm glad we saw the place was wrong before starting that.
So here is the bottom and there is the top. So we need to put the vent
I think
closer to the top.
Yeah, I think here's gonna be better. It's like 1.5 meters high instead of 80 centimeters high. I think it's a better position because when I paint something, I can lay like on the ceiling, like hang on from the ceiling, spray paint something and have behind the fan just taking the air off. Are you committed to this?
Yes.
Okay, I worked so hard to build all this and now I'm gonna destroy it. It doesn't make sense. Now we can move on to do what we were supposed to do today, that is to build the last wall, and then we can paint the edges, and then tomorrow we can start assembling this beast. That's it. Ready to assemble the walls. Now I have no excuse. All the sides are painted. We have all the walls except the beginning where the door is gonna be. That's gonna be the last thing to be done after the ceiling is ready. if it assembles well together, it's going to be awesome, because we're going to have a place that is warm enough to put a heating system inside, and the heating is not going to leave because there's insulation. It's going to be much better to have a good result on the build of the van. The reality is, I'm not saying that to the camera, I'm afraid the walls are going to be all crooked, and we're going to have a lot of gaps in between walls and in between the wall and the ceiling and yeah. Thanks so much I appreciate you guys hanging on and waiting for this to be ready. Sometimes on the videos it seems quick, but one time lapse sometimes it's like 3 hours of work. So it takes longer than you believe, but we're gonna get there. So I've been debating with myself every night when I go to bed. I have a different idea on how to put this thing together. It's tricky because each module is really heavy, and somehow I need to do that by myself. Roberta will explain later, but she cannot carry weight right now, so I need to... the maximum she can do is to hold something in place, but not making any force. So I need to find a way to do that by myself. So the way this is gonna work pretty much is... this bottle, 3 panels, are that wall. These 2 top panels are that wall. And these 3 panels, the first one is that wall, the second one is the center wall, and the third one is this wall. The idea now, at least for now, is to raise this panel that is the first wall on that corner. I just lift that in place, Roberta holds in place, and then I need to bring that one, that is that wall, and I create an L, and then I need to have like a wooden bracket to hold them together, and then I put the second one, that's this one here, and I do the same on this side, and in this way, I have 2 L's attached together and hold it together, and then I can put the next one in place, put another bracket, the next one and put another bracket, and then instead of building the ceiling that I was thinking I was going to do it, I'm going to do the far end edge where the doors are going to be attached. In this way I hope the stability of the entire wall system is much better, and then I can start working on the ceiling. Let's hope it works. I made sure that the bottom of the walls are always level to each other, the same level, but they're not 100% the same height. And I think that's going to create a lot of problems once we start building the ceiling. So I was thinking about getting the track saw, aligning the walls in place on the floor, and try to trim the top for them to match better.
It's a lot of work.
Sometimes you gotta do it. If we don't do that now, we're gonna put the walls really easy in place, but once we start building the ceiling, then I'm in trouble.
And also the paint's gonna be off.
We're going to lose the paint, so we can do that, and then we put the walls in place, and then we paint the top again.
Okay.
It is what it is. Of course, I step on the poo.
Good luck. Chickens are so nice, but they poo everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw on the time lapses that I've been doing for like 2 weeks, that I'm trying to get the chickens out of all the time out of the frame. It's not because of the frame of the video, it's because they leave poo everywhere. Just a mess. Tonight they did on the top of the wall. So here you can see the problem perfectly. This wood is not aligned with this. You can tell that there is this gap here. If we install the wall as it is, that means they're going to have different heights, and it's going to be hard to attach the ceiling to it. So what I'm going to do now is to get the track saw and trim this piece as best as I can to have the same level as both sides. And in this way, I think it's going to be much easier in the future, today, to install the ceiling in place.
Why do you think we have this problem?
This problem is because we are amateurs. I'm amateur. Yeah, I never built any wooden frame before. Wooden frame, usually, you first build the framing, and then you put the plywood in place. As I want to have modules that I can disassemble and keep the insulation inside, I build in a different way, and it becomes a little bit trickier if you don't have the right wood. Of course, I could just plane this wood and trim and be perfect, but I don't even have the tools for that, so it is what it is. I'm gonna just fix as much as I can, and hopefully it's gonna be our functioning workshop later. So now, as you can tell, we're trim with that, both sides. We just need to do the same on the other side. That's pretty good. We need to solve this problem now. As you can tell, the blade is not long enough to cut the center. And in order to cut the center, a hand plane would be perfect. Of course, I didn't buy one yet. I've been searching for one for a long time and I couldn't make the decision of which one I want yet. But I have another solution. This is a really, really special thing that we bought 7 years ago. When we just started, even before the shipping container house, when we were in Indonesia, I don't know if you watched it before, we can link somewhere, but I did a wood carving class for a day in Indonesia. And with that class, we bought the chisels. That's not even the full chisel, it's just the blade. In Indonesia, they don't use like a chisel with a handle and everything. It's just like a lot of blades. And I got the opportunity to buy where the local carvers buy blades for them to carve the amazing Indonesian sculptures. And that was, I think this was like $20 maybe. And I have like, I think over 30 different lengths and shapes and supposedly really good steel. So now I'm gonna use for the first time. That's so cool. I think that's good enough. The plywood is gonna fix the little mistakes. It's fine. We're gonna have a plywood bolt screwed to here, so it's gonna be fine. I think it's on the proper height now.
What's going on?
Just marking. I decide that we should paint the edge of the floor because it's gonna be under, and otherwise the humidity is gonna start coming inside and you're gonna destroy the plywood. So, I mean, I think just to play it safe, I think it's gonna be good. So I'm just marking how much I want to paint because the interior, I'm not sure if it's going to be gray or if it's going to be white. And if it's gray, it's going to be much harder to make it white. So I don't want to paint too much, overpaint too much. Right now, I already organized it for tomorrow to actually assemble. So tomorrow I'm not even gonna measure anything and check anything. See you guys tomorrow.
No more excuses.
Yeah, I'm always giving an excuse why I need to do this little thing, but now there's nothing else I can do. All the walls are ready. We're just gonna leave in the order I planned before and hope for the best. Let's do it.
Let's get started.
That's actually square. That's pretty. It's gonna be awesome. Let's keep going. So I just screwed this piece of wood and a little piece of plywood on the back. And the little piece of plywood on the back, I'm gonna show you. Just this tiny piece of plywood, it made such a big difference. Check this out. I'm literally impressed. The one thing I was afraid with the workshop is that as it's not properly, the joist of the wall is not screwed to the floor as normal framing, wood framing, because I want this to be able to be disassembled later. It's not, it's just like a little bracket holding place. I was afraid that the walls could collapse sideways. So could, break something and just go down. And to be honest, impossible. And that's just two walls. When we put all together, tied together with the ceiling, There's no way. I'm relaxed now. So next step is this one.
Of course, the last one is not good. There is a little bit of an angle, so we need to fix it. I mean, Duca needs to fix it.
Yeah, so the problem here is that, as you can tell, here is already closed, the gap on the top, and on the bottom is not, and the bottom is touching already. So that means we either have an angle on the floor, that I don't believe so, or we have an angle that this is not square. That's probably what's happening. So in order for this to close this gap, we would need to raise this panel a little bit, and it would have a gap on the bottom that's even worse. Yeah, so if we cut the same gap we have here on the top, that means it's going to slide in place in theory. But, you know, we need to follow the theory sometimes.
It looks actually a little bit higher than the other one.
Yeah, and then we can fix that also already. Like, check this out, that was all numerical. The height is right, so good, the same height, everything fits. That was all theoretical and it did work. Now I'm just gonna put this down really quick, paint this edge at least, and then after lunch we can install in place today. That's the hope. That's a huge shop actually. I mean, it's not huge, but for me it's huge.
It's gonna be just the table
For
mostly.
who had nowhere to work, now I have like almost a shop. That's so.
It's our first shop, babe.
First shop. Even 5. First shop. The next one is gonna be huge. And now we need to do this final side. This wall, I decided instead of building the same way I'm building all the walls, I'm gonna build like wood frame. That is, I'll build the frame in place and then I'll just put the sheets of plywood. This is gonna be worse when I need to disassemble this whole thing, because this will need to disassemble the entire wall. But at the same time, I think it's gonna be much better attached to the floor, and in this way it's gonna lock the whole side wall in place. And also I'm gonna have another beam here to, you know, tie that side, because right now, to be honest, it's almost impossible for this to fall. But remember that we need to build the ceiling that's gonna be as heavy as the floor, so it's gonna be really, really heavy, and I don't want it to collapse. So I think it's gonna be safer if I just build this way. I was gonna call up the day actually. I was gonna just finish here, but I still have like half an hour of light. The light's gonna go down really quick now. But I think I'm gonna start working on this wall. I'm just excited. I think it's gonna be really awesome to, you know, build another wall. And then all I need to do is ceiling and door, and we have a workshop.